Okay, this demo is how to redraw your boards in Storyboard Pro. So after I've imported my boards and I've grouped together the shots or the scenes from the different panels, I went through and I basically added some more panels. So for this first one, what I did was I have this image, the reference image here, right? I'm gonna hide these other layers. There we go. So this was my image here. And so I'm gonna turn on my light bulb so I can fade out what I'm not working on. And I basically just redrew, I redrew the panels, right? So I redrew the character here and I redrew the background here and I filled him in with white just using the brush tool and the fill. And I put the screenshot on the very bottom and then I just hit it, right? So now here is the redrawn panel. And then the wake up, I redrew this. And then what I did is that I copied and pasted it, duplicated it, and I rotated it to kind of give it that shakiness, right? He's like, oh, he's waking up. So I took these two panels and I just did a simple rotation with the duplicates of these in order to get that shakiness, right? The next panel here, I actually added in a panel before this one, right? Because I want to show that he's sitting up, right? So I gave him sort of, I redrew a new panel here, redrew this, and then originally it just has him adjusting his glasses and looking over. I separated it so that he reaches up, settles his glasses, looks over, and then we have the camera pan to the creature. And I thought it would be funny if the creature is like, bah, before the guy reacts, right? So I added in those basic panels and then I duplicated them and I started drawing new ones to start articulating the action some more. Because you want to think like an animator, right? You want to set up your animator as a board artist for what they need to do. So again, you have to think about, does this action need more describing in terms of what exactly is happening and in what order it's happening? So I'm going to go to a new scene so I can show you how you would draw this from scratch. So when it default brings it in, it just puts the screenshot on top. So I'm going to put it on the bottom so that I can trace over it. And I'm going to look at this and think about, okay, what exactly has to move in this panel, right? Like, because I could just redraw the whole thing on one layer, but if that character is held and the guy character is doing things, maybe it makes more sense to put the character on a different layer so that I can duplicate it and animate it, right? Or give it keyframes, give it key drawings or story drawings, as it were. So looking through the whole panel, I'm not going to worry about the camera move right now. That's something that I'll show you in another tutorial. So we have him looking in the fridge and the character's coming up behind him and looking in with him, right? So again, I want to think through, let me see, what I might do is, again, do I want to draw anything new here? So he's looking at the fridge and he turns around and the character looks in with him. There we go. Okay, so this is my gate, my camera gate, so I can toggle it to see what's around it, right? So what I'm going to do, because this basically is the camera move, what I can do is just think about how would I draw this without the camera move, because I'll show you separately how to animate that camera move. That's what I did here, right? I basically drew the whole thing and then I did the camera move here. So for here, if my character is actually here, what I'm going to do, so I might on character on this, I'm going to add a new layer. There we go. This will be my monster. There we go. And I'm going to put on my light table and I'm going to draw. So I have, so my brackets, if you look at your keyboard and it's IOP bracket bracket, those will help you resize your brush size. And again, I want to think about, does this character, am I going to do a fill behind him? Because if so, I might just want to group him like that so that if I bucket fill him, it's pretty easy. And I'm not going to see it because it's going to be cut off. So again, I'm kind of thinking ahead to my grayscale to think about, am I going to tone this character or not? I'm not sure yet. I'm going to go to my paint bucket and just fill in his eyes. And then I'm going to put the character on a separate layer. So on A, I'm going to name him Dude because I don't know his name. Because when I was in class, I was sort of rushing. And so this way you can kind of see. a bit more. And again, I'm sort of thinking through, like, if I need to sort of bucket fill him, I can sort of draw outside the edges so that I can just easily bucket fill without having to close my strokes later. Just hit down E to access my eraser real quickly, and say I'm going to put the refrigerator on this layer, right? There we go. And maybe, again, if I'm panning from a larger fridge here, then maybe, am I showing him opening the fridge, or are we just panning behind the fridge? That's the idea. Again, I'm thinking through what exactly this shot is. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend the fridge out this way, and I'm just going to like bucket fill it just so that it's a solid color. So I think that would be a good contrast to these two characters. And then for this character, I could bucket fill him. I could use the auto matte if I wanted. So say I select white and I go to his layer and I right click and I go generate auto matte and I say I want white, which is my current selected color. And it does a pretty good job, right? So that works. You could also, if it's too complicated a form and it's not working, you could just add a layer behind it and using your brush tool, basically just draw, you know, a super rough outline like that. You don't have to be precise. This is, you know, just boards. And then just bucket fill that. So those are your two options. You could do auto matte, or you could just draw on a layer behind. Both of them are pretty similar. It has a little arrow here of the character moving up. I'm a big believer in using arrows in your storyboard, and we'll talk about that in a future class. But maybe here, I want to show him moving up, right? So maybe, so now that I have this, I can just sort of hide this layer. And again, here, this might be a good chance for me to think about what's my horizon line, right? Like where is exactly, you know, my eye level? So maybe my eye level is, you know, oops, sorry, wrong thing. There we go. Like that, right? So that just gives me my horizon line and kind of a sense of, you know, where things are in perspective. If you want, you know, if I wanted to, I could just sort of easily map on that just to give like sort of a rough sense of the ground. And now you see that we are seeing behind this character. So maybe I just want to select white and right click and generate an auto matte for him so that he's filled in. And then once I put this in, boom, right? So I have my perspective grid, I have my tonal pass. And if I still want this camera move here, what I can do is I can either delete this or I can just right click and duplicate the panel. And then I can think about here, let me see. I want to emulate this. So again, so the next tutorial, I'll show you how to do that camera move and we'll set that up. But that's kind of, you know, how I'm adding panels in it and I'm duplicating it and I'm redrawing and I'm just using the transform. Trying to think what I might do is move forward with the rest of the sequence and you can watch it or you cannot. And then I'll put the camera move in a different tutorial. No, wait, because I'll put the camera move in a different tutorial so that it's just a quick in and out if you just want the camera move. So I'm just going to work on doing the rest of the sequence. So he opens the fridge and then here he looks around the character and he's like, yum, 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 right? So what do I want to copy in this one? So maybe I want to do a new smart panel. So new smart panel, I don't know if I gave it this keyboard shortcut, but if you do Shift P, it's going to say, what layers do you want to duplicate, right? And I want to duplicate all of them except for the screenshot, right? So I'm going to duplicate it. So this is my smart panel here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click and copy this layer and go here and paste it for reference, right? So I've basically just sort of pasted this panel into this one. So now I can delete that panel and use this reference here to kind of move my character, right? So I can either just delete him right here and go to black, turn off my camera gates. I'm going to turn off the man because he's going to move a little bit. Let's see, do we have... So here what might be funny is so if the character moves up, right, like hello, so I can put my onion skinning on. I hit undo because I actually want to onion skin my monster layer. Why is it... Don't know why it's onion skinning this one because I don't want... Oh, wait. There we go. Onion skin. Onion skin. There we go. Sometimes the onion skinning is just... Ah, where am I? I like working the timeline mode because I can just sort of see things better. Yep. So this is part of the camera move. What happened to my monster? Hold on, I'm gonna undo because I did something weird. I don't know what it quite it was. There we go. So weird. It should be onion skinning just my monster, but it's deciding to be dumb. Unless... Nope. Okay, I'm just going to redraw him and then move him as I... Yum! And again, I want to think about him bringing the fork and knife up. Do I want that to be a 1-2 action, or do I want him to kind of come up with them already in his hand? That's an acting choice, right? So maybe I want him to kind of come up. Now it's being just... There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to have him come up. And I got to move him over because I feel like... There we go. And I don't know why it's being weird about it onion skinning. Because it really wants to onion skin the fridge, and I just want to onion skin the monster, and it's just being pain in the butt. Boop, like that. So I have him come up, right? And I'm going to just finish his shape right here. So I can select white and automat him. Boop, there we go. Cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then duplicate this because then I want him to go boop with that, right? So I'm breaking it into action. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to duplicate it. And for this one, I'm going to add a new layer. And this is going to be his little hands, right? So I'm going to have him, and I'm just drawing through here just in case, like that. There we go. And I'm just going to fill in bucket tool. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to move these over here. So he comes up. And then with these guys, what I can do is I can actually either animate these or I can just have them down here, right? And then here, have them come up. I'm going to duplicate it again. And then just bring them up again, right? So I'm going to hide this. I'm going to delete this just to kind of keep things clean. I'm going to delete this to keep it clean. Okay, so what it's going to look like is he's here, he's going to come up, boop, boop, right? He's like, I'm ready to eat, right? And now I'm going to have the guy turn around and react to him, right? Because you'll notice in the board, the guy's looking back at him like, huh? Right? So I'm going to basically duplicate this again. I could just do, actually, I could do a smart panel too. Like I could also do that. So Shift P, enter, and it basically recreates everything. I guess you could do Shift P or duplicate. Kind of the same, honestly. I'll turn onion skinning off because it's being annoying. And now I'm going to have the guy basically turn around and be like, what do you want, dude? Right? So, and again, he kind of changes height here. So when I turn him around, I'm probably going to adjust him so that he stays the same height, right? So I'm going to delete this layer because I don't need that fill anymore. And I'm going to, there we go, put on my light table, and he's going to turn around and be like, what do you want, strange dude? And I'm just going to push his eyes over so that he's really kind of connecting to the character, right? You always want to have sort of firm eye contact. You want to be really precise with where your character is looking. And that's true in animation as well as boarding. And again, he was holding the fridge. So again, here, maybe it makes more sense to have him still having his hand on it, right? And again, I'm going to turn the mat off, and I'm going to draw through my shapes so that it'll automatic very easily. So now I can select white, right click, generate automat. It's going to go okay. There we go. And again, he kind of changes height here. So I want to make sure that he stays the height that he is here. There we go. So he's changing the same height. And because I did that, it probably makes more sense for me to actually like move his pupils down. And you'll see let me see, sometimes you don't. There we go. There we go. So now he's like looking down at the character like, what do you want, right? Now I can just delete this layer. What? What do you want? And again, you'll see that his body's been now cut off because I had to readjust the height. So I'm just going to do a quick fix and just draw through, just hitting E for eraser, S for select just to get that one line. And I'm just going to bucket fill his bottom like that, right? What do you want? Right? And now he's like, hoof, 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 I'm so hungry, right? And again, here it's like, is he jumping up and down because he sees the worm, or do they see the worm at the same time, right? So again, he looks back in the fridge. I feel like he should be looking at this little dude as he like jumps back and forth like huff, huff, huff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to Shift P, do a smart panel, and then with my monster, you know, again, he's like jumping up and down like, yay, right? So here I'm just maybe going to have him like jump up. Oop, I didn't bring the fill in with me. Oop. Maybe he's like, I'm just using select to kind of, and then maybe I'm having him sort of go down, right? So then I can just copy this panel and paste it after that. So it's like he's hopping up and down like, yeah, right? And if I wanted to, oh, see, I forgot to bring his auto mat underneath it. There you go. So maybe here I just want to add those little, you know, puffs of clouds because I don't know what they stood for, but like, you know, I'm going to copy this and paste it after it and then go back to my default position. And then maybe the guy turns back to the fridge, right? So here, again, what I might do, so either I could bring this panel over into this one and change it, but what might be easier actually is just going into this panel and redrawing the dude here. He's like, he's like, my mats. Again, because I don't know if he'll need extra room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy this layer and duplicate this and then paste the layer. And that way I can really easily just make sure that he's the same size. So kind of goes back like that, right? There we go. Okay, so now I can delete this layer safely, and I'm just going to apply automat to this layer so it fills in, and then just making sure. And I'm noticing now that there's like a lot of space between them. Like when he turns around, there's all this sort of empty space that's between the two of them. And so maybe it makes sense for him, almost for this character. I wonder, so now if I use transform, no, it didn't key it. So I was like saying, should be able, let me see, I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 with shift. 1, 2, 3. Whoop. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. I want to make sure my mouse focus is correct because there we go. I want to make sure that the focus is on the story start. You know, see how the red is following my icon around? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to go to the timeline to go forward. I'm going to delete this panel because I no longer need it. But do you see how like I separated out the action into many panels, right? Okay, so as promised, I'm going to do a tutorial on the camera move next.